Bhattacharya. The main beliefs Charvakas are listed below. So what we are more interested after seeing the history of Charvaka philosophy or the materialism, how it has influenced not only in India but so many, that means even in the Greek world where the philosophy, Western philosophy is said to be the originated, there also we can see the idea of materialism very much, and then Karl Marx in the 19th century using it very well for his philosophy of materialism, or he would say that the entire world, what you see, the division, the classes and the inequality what is existing, it is purely based on the unequal distribution of wealth or what is produced. So a solution should be sought not in the brain of man or in the material objects, but it's very much here the materialism. So he has used very well that thought, that materialism for his philosophy, or pure material socialism which he argues. And when we come, or how do we understand this Charvaka philosophy or the pure materialism? It is from the various criticism against this school of philosophy, that is materialism, which says that what is the primary importance is matter and not the spirit. Nothing to do with that which you do not able to verify through your five senses. So whatever can be verified through your five senses, they are the realities for a materialist. Then coming to the one of the names that is given to the materialism in the Indian philosophy is the Charvaka philosophy. And Charvaka said to, or the philosophy said to be dedicated to, or the founder is Charvaka. That person, his writings, original writings, nothing is available to us. All what we have is the commentaries written on this philosophy, that is Charvaka Sutra. And the eminent philosophers have written commentary on that, and from those we are able to derive certain aspects what the Charvaka philosophy aimed at, what is the real content of the Charvaka philosophy. And most of the philosophers are in a way not agreement with what the name that is given to it on account of that, because most of the philosophies were in having a biased attitude towards the Charvaka philosophy, and what has been added to malign the Charvaka philosophy. That could have been the reason why there is such a lot of disagreement between the philosophers. A critical study of this matter was resulted in two other compilations of Charvaka philosophy by researchers Namai and Bhattacharya. The main beliefs of Charvakas are listed in the following points. So what are the main points that are in the Charvaka philosophy? The first one, Indian texts describe number of pramanas or means of knowledge. So one of the major discussed theme in the Indian philosophy is how do you know pramanas? The most important pramanas were pratyaksha, direct perception, anumana, inference, upamana, analogy, arthapati, derivation, anupalapti, non-existence. So these were, and Shabda, revealed scriptures. So these were the sources of knowledge. What are they? That is pratyaksha, that is direct perception, anumana, inference, upamana, analogy, arthapati, derivation, anupalapti, non-existence, and Shabda, revealed scriptures. Various schools of philosophy accepted some of them as valid means of knowledge. Buddhism and Vaisheshika considered only pratyaksha and anumana to be valid means of knowledge, while Jainism, Sankhya, Yoga, Dvaita Vedanta and Vishishta Dvaita Vedanta held Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda to be valid. Mimamsa and Advaita Vedanta considered all 6 pramanas to be valid means of knowledge. So we can see in the Indian texts which have come down to us, the main theme, that is, how do you know what's the means of knowledge? So there are 6 sources of knowledge according to the Indian text. And some of the schools, they accept maybe 1, 2, 3 or like that, different, it is various from. For example, Buddhism and Vaisheshika considered only Pratyaksha and Anumana to be valid means of knowledge, while Jainism, Samkhya, Yoga, Dvaita Vedanta and Vishishta Dvaita Vedanta held Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda as the valid means of the source of knowledge. Then Mimamsa and Advaita Vedanta considered all 6 pramanas to be valid means of knowledge. So pramana means the means of knowledge. That is the most important pramanas are the 6 pramanas, and only Mimamsa and Advaita Vedanta consider all the 6 as valid means of knowledge. Charvaka philosophy or the materialism, pure materialism, was the most restrictive in terms of what constituted the valid means of knowledge. The Charvaka position is summarized by the fact that the only valid means of knowledge is Pratyaksha. It means as it appears to you, the direct perception, nothing else. It is also called Pratyakshayika Pramana, meaning Pratyaksha or direct perception is the only means of knowledge, nothing else. So, in comparison to many other philosophies that is existing, only Charvaka philosophy is very, very restrictive with regard to what is the valid means or source of knowledge. Only Pratyaksha, nothing else. No Anumana or no Upamana, no Arthapati or Anupalapti or Shabda, nothing is considered except Pratyaksha, the direct perception. Then another point in the Charvaka philosophy is that Indian text considered everything in the universe to be made of 5 elements. So Indian text considered everything in the universe to be made of 5 elements: earth, Prithvi, water, Apah, air, Vayu, fire, Agni, and space, Akasha. Charvakas did not consider space to be an element. Bhaskaracharya has summarized their position as meaning that is the earth, water and fire and air are elements, or only those are the elements. Charvakas considered the consciousness to arise from the combination of these 4 elements. So anything that is other than these 4 elements, all the other things are the combination of these 4 elements. So the consciousness is nothing but the combination of these 4 elements. The meaning is that there are 4 elements in the school of thought, namely earth, water, fire and air. The consciousness arises from these 4 elements. Madhusudana Saraswati has given the Charvaka viewpoint in the meaning that consciousness is the result of the union of the body and the senses. Thus, the Charvakas do not believe in the concept of Atma that is separate from the body. Traditional, or the third element is that traditional Hindus believed in the pursuit of Purusharthas or goals of life. There are four goals of life, that is Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. That is the goals of life. So traditional Hindus believe so much in that. Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. The Charvakas considered the pursuit of pleasure as the only goal of life. Their position is summarized in the Madhusudana Saraswati, telling that the pleasure is the only goal of life, nothing else. The guiding principle of the life of Charvaka is described in the famous words meaning, as long as you live happily, drink ghee, clarified butter, by taking loan. Once the body is turned into ashes, where is the question of coming again? So pure materialism, we see from these points what is already inherent in the Charvaka philosophy. Fourth aspect, the Charvakas don't believe in the theory of karma. They didn't believe that people have to bear the fruits of their punya or meritorious act or papa sins. Jain mendicant Haribarshasturi has presented the lokayata viewpoint in his Dharma Adharmano na vidheyate na phalam punya papa ho, meaning there is no existence of dharma, moral behavior, adharma, immoral behavior, and thus the fruits of punya, meritorious acts, and papa, sins. The Charvakas believed in enjoying life in the present than to make sacrifices now to have a better life in the future. So that is expressed in one of the slogas. The meaning is that only a fool will give what is in one's hand into the hands of the other. A pigeon in the possession today is better than a peacock tomorrow. The fifth element that is contained in the Charvaka philosophy, Charvakas didn't believe in afterlife and concepts of heaven and hell. Their belief was that the end of that is meaning that end of physical body is the liberation for them. They held that dukkhameva naragaha, meaning a life filled with the sorrow was hell. They proclaimed that na sorgo na pava sorgo, that is meaning that there is no heaven, no liberation, no soul, and no afterlife. So thus we find that Charvakas were materialists in their beliefs. They didn't believe in anything that could not be verified by direct perception by the senses. They believed that rituals were invented by the Brahmins as means of livelihood. The Charvaka remained a vibrant group in India for most of its history. Abul Fazl included Charvaka as one of the 9 schools of Hinduism. He summarized his understanding of Charvaka philosophy in the 3rd volume of Akbarnama, known as Ani-i-Akbari, Constitution of Akbar, in the following words. Charvaka, after whom the school is named, was an unenlightened Brahmin. Its followers are called Brahmins, Nastikas or Nihilists. They recognize no existence apart from the 4 elements, nor any source of perception save through the 5 organs of senses. They do not believe in a God or immaterial substances and affirm faculty of thought to result from the equilibrium of the aggregate elements. Paradise they regard as a state in which man lives as he chooses, free from control of the other, and hell, the state in which he lives subjected to another's rule. The whole end of man, they say, is comprised in 4 things: amassing of wealth, women, fame, and good deeds. They admit only of such sciences as tend to promotion of external order, that is, a knowledge of just administration and benevolent government. They are somewhat analogous to the sophists in their views and have written many works in reproach of others, which rather serve as lasting memorials of their own ignorance. So this is a quote from what Abul Fasil has compiled and written in the Akbar Nama, known as Ani-e Akbari, the Constitution of Akbar. So a passage from that bears witness to what is the main belief of the Charvaka philosophy. It is interesting to note that despite their unorthodox views, there is no evidence of persecution of the Charvakas in the ancient India. India was a land of intellectual freedom where people could live fulfilling lives without fear of persecution due to their beliefs. The most important part of the Charvaka belief system was to have a good life full of enjoyment, as the Charvakas didn't believe in afterlife. To make sacrifices in this life for a better afterlife is a revolutionary idea that has been used to regulate human behavior all over the world. But in its latest transformation, this idea now threatens the very existence of humanity. So we see that main ideas what was contained in the text, the original text of Charvaka, eliciting from the what is written about the commentary, we compile that, we come to know that certain points which Hinduism, the traditional Hinduism held as the four goals of life, Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. But for the Charvaka philosophers or the materialists, only what was most important was the that is the enjoyment, that is Artha and Kama, nothing more than that. So Kama, that is possess wealth as much as you can, then the pure enjoyment. Because they did not believe in any God, they did not believe in any afterlife. And as we have seen from Ajit Kamble, Ajit, who was the first person through whom we come to know more about the materialism, he says totally negates all that was held or all that is being yet held, so in great respect of the good things. So for them, all what mattered was pure materialism, that is nothing beyond that. So all what is directly perceivable, that for them is the only world around them, nothing else. All the mind consciousness, according to them, is something that springs from the different combinations of the matter.